From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm the official team psychiatrist of the New York Giants. Don't let the jet scare fool you.
Oh, dear God. They're in trouble.
You could just call me Jaime Hixson.
Yes. And I am the psychiatrist for him.
I don't need no damn psychiatrist.
My name is Hector Bosa. That's right. Finally. She's got you with the mic. Good. Tired of getting hassle with the mic. And we're live on Facebook, too, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see us both on Facebook and here. And also, I am the hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. Yours truly, Hector Bosa, the uncontrollable, the always saying the truth about certain people, certain places, and certain things. Because remember, as you saw, the views and expressions of all that blah, 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 remember, it's not his fault. If it's coming out of my fault, if it's coming out of my mouth. So if you got a problem with me, all you got to do is contact me. So, let's go on with sports, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie, baseball is a piece of work. You know
You
why
say that
baseball's
again.
a piece of work?
Well-
Because the Asian guy said no to the New York Yankees.
Yeah,
and there's
I know
a
exactly
reason
who you're
why.
talking about.
There's a reason why.
Yeah. You're referring to Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani is a stud pitching and hitting prospect. Well, he's not even a prospect. Even though he's about 21 or 22 years old, he is a pitching and hitting sensation
That's
coming out of Japan.
That's right.
That's about to make his way into Major League Baseball next year.
And
He's already met with the Yankees.
Yes.
And he's already made it loud and
No,
clear.
he
He's
didn't
not going to sign with
he
them.
didn't meet with the Yankees. His manager met with the Yankees.
No, he
Because-
really did meet with the Yankees.
No, he didn't, because he
That's not what I heard.
No, what I heard was that he proposed certain things that he wanted to do, and that he wanted because the Yankees never got to speak to him personally. And that's what I just heard from ESPN and WFAN and all them other people. They never
Bottom
got to
line,
speak-
Shohei Ohtani is not going to be a Yankee.
And that's the
And
thing.
he is going, in all likelihood, he's going to be playing on the West Coast next year. He's already named the Mariners, the Giants, the Padres,
Milwaukee Brewers
possibly the Dodgers.
and the Milwaukee Brewers.
For some reason, Milwaukee, but
No,
in all likelihood, he's going to prefer the West Coast. And from what I've heard, the Mariners are the top contender to sign him for next
And
year.
he also wants a small market team.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want a big market team, so you got to leave Los Angeles. Now imagine if he would have been with the Yankees. What a deep pitching staff that is.
It would have been good, but now that they're out of the running, the Yankees are going to have to look elsewhere. And this is where CC Sabathia comes in. CC Sabathia is still a free agent, and he's made it loud and clear he wants to return next year. So
But do you sign him for the amount of money that? Do you sign him for a big amount of money or a small amount of money, or give him conditions?
I'd probably give him a one-year deal with some incentives. Not like he needs any incentives, but at the same time, CC's not getting any younger. He's going to turn 37 years old at the beginning of next year. And even though he had a really, really solid year last year and was,
He
for
had
the most part,
command.
healthy,
He had command in the in the playoffs.
he
too. That's
pitched
what the
much
thing.
better last season. Although in the Houston series, things were a little bit out of his reach, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, overall, he pitched very well. So I would like to see him return, but on some conditions, though.
Yeah. No. Also. Yeah. And also, what's the other the other Asian pitcher that we had? Hideki. Is it what? Hey. What did you say?
You'll have to excuse us, folks.
Wait,
Rosanna
wait.
Robertson, who's on the other side of the glass,
Is
she's
doing-
basically making faces at us right now. She's
doing
doing
a-
her emoji
And
impersonations.
doing a phenomenal job of telling us
That you don't put
that
your
we.
mic close enough to your mouth.
That's right, Jamie. We're supposed to put as close as
She
possible.
was talking
like we're
to
doing
you,
something.
not
Yeah.
me.
She's done it to you too.
That was before.
Okay, so again, she's talking to both
No,
of
she's
us,
talking
and
to
she was still
you.
talking to both. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to put our mouths as if we're doing something. I can't do that either. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing it nice and soft because who's the Asian guy that's on the Yankees too? I forgot his name.
You're probably talking about Masahiro Tanaka.
Tanaka. Do you think he comes back as well?
He's already coming back. He's already exercised his 2 options for next year. He's coming back next year.
Because he was supposed to not come back. He wanted to retire.
He made it loud and clear that he already exercised his contract option for the next 2 years. So he's going to be a Yankee for 2 more years.
No.
It's just a matter of whether his elbow holds up. Because
No.
he's still got the partial UCL tear in his elbow.
With Aaron Boone coming as the manager.
That's
of the
another
Yankees.
thing now.
And here's the thing with Girardi. Was he right or was he wrong? Because if you do the way he wanted to do, 5 starting pitches, have a deep bullpen, and have enough players to be on the bench and can take the field at the same time. Hey, you have enough players. Now, management wants 6 starting pitches. If you get 6 starting pitches, then you won't have a deep bullpen. And also,
First off,
you
who
won't
are those 6 starting pitchers going to be after Sabathia and Tanaka and also Luis Severino?
Well, you do have other pitchers coming
I
up.
know they're
and
I know they're
also going
experimenting with Chad Green.
And-
They're thinking about making Chad Green a starter.
And they're also going after free agents. You have to expect them to go.
There's
after
also
some
Jordan
free
Montgomery,
agents.
who was okay in his rookie season. So that's 5 right there.
Right. So if they go to 6, so that they could relieve CC Sabathia and the other guy, which I forgot his name again, Tanaka, then you have 6. But the way Girardi was doing it, if you do 5, then you have enough people in the bullpen and you have enough people in the bench. If you do it the other way around, you won't have enough bench players. You'll only have what? 1 reserve catcher.
Yeah, which right now is Austin Romine.
One, what is it? Two probably infielders or all
2
around,
backup infielders.
and that's it. You're not gonna have. That's all you're gonna have.
You
the way
need
the-
to have bench help in order to compete. I mean, pitching is one thing, but you have to have some depth on the bench in order to give the starters a little bit more room a little bit more margin for error, if you
that's-
will.
And that's why they brought in Boone, because they're going by technology now. They're going by statistics and all that other stuff. Before it used to be gut feeling. Girardi was with the Yankees for 10 years. He did well. And you know what I heard?
He did more than well. Joe did a really, really good job with that team. Quite frankly, he got shortchanged. And the only reason why he got fired was because he was not getting along with Brian Cashman.
And you know what I heard too? With the Steinbrenners, they said that even if he won the World Series, they were going to let him go.
Well, it depends.
This is what I read. This is actually what I read. I know how to read, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or
I
not.
heard that if they had won the World Series a couple of months ago, maybe he would have rode off into the sunset on his own.
Yeah, but I heard the paper that I read, which I forgot.
Talk about being
was-
ungrateful. That guy put in 10 years of the last 10 years of his career into managing that team in the Bronx. He practically worked his tail off to make that team a contender every single year.
And I think what happened was...
And he winds up getting shortchanged the way he did.
And I think what happened was that management normally wants to take over. He may be the manager, but management wants to tell the manager what to do instead of letting him manage the damn game. They want to have more input, and that's what I think they're going to do with Aaron Boone. Then I don't think they're going to let him manage as much.
Well, that's where he's going to be needing a really good bench coach. And the guy that they had, Rob Thompson, already took the Philadelphia job. So now
he's doing the same thing anyway.
Yeah, and now Boone is going to have to look elsewhere to try and get a really, really good bench coach. I already heard that Larry Rothschild is definitely coming back as the pitching coach,
Yeah,
though. So
but-
that's one thing that they've got going for him.
But here's the thing: why is management sticking their nose into if you
You know why? Because this is Aaron Boone's very first managing
No, but
job.
even with Girardi, they would tell him, okay, do this, do this, do this, and okay, you can suggest
See, that's
something
another
to
thing.
the manager.
You cannot. You
can
can't put
always
a
suggest
square
something. You
peg
can always
into a
suggest
round hole, especially when it comes to the Steinbrenners. The Steinbrenners are notorious, mostly Mr. Steinbrenner, though, for sticking their nose where it doesn't belong.
Well,
now the Suns are trying to follow suit. Come on now. You got to let the guy do his job, please.
And-
I mean, Girardi's been in the game long enough to know exactly what's to know exactly what's going on. It's not like he forgot how to manage.
And that's the problem. Even now with the Mets. The
You know,
Mets
there
are-
has
are
been very,
disaster.
very little news being made by the Mets.
except for the fact that
recently.
they may get back Jay Bruce.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that they have going for themselves, that they may get back Jay Bruce.
and he's interested in probably returning to the Mets, which isn't such a bad idea because Bruce was, aside from Michael Conforto, Bruce was their best hitter for the first 4 months of the season. I mean, his average was way down, but he really supplied a lot of power. And if he were to return, in all likelihood, it would be as the right fielder.
And and they haven't picked a manager yet, have they?
Yeah, they have Mickey Callahan now,
Mickey Callahan, and
who used to be the pitching coach in Cleveland.
And you think he's going to do who else?
Well,
The difference
One
between
difference
Boone and
bet-
Callahan, what do you think is going to
the difference between Terry Collins and Mickey Callahan is communication.
No, I'm saying Aaron Boone. But the difference between the Yankee manager
At
and
least
the, and
Mickey
the Met
Callahan
manager.
has been a coach before. Well, there's a lot of similarities. They both played the game. Although Aaron Boone had a longer shelf life in the major leagues. He had a good 13 or 14 years in the majors with the Reds and the Yankees and the Astros
As
and
an
the
outfielder,
Marlins.
as an outfielder,
As a
and
third
he was
baseman.
third baseman too. But he was an outfielder.
I think it was mostly a third
Yeah,
baseman.
he was mostly. And I'm surprised because normally pitchers and catchers are normally
Mm-hmm.
very rare. Do you see an outfielder or first baseman get a manager?
And a lot of people
job or
forget.
second-
Everyone knows Aaron for hitting that home run against the Red Sox all those years ago. Aaron Boone had a really good career as a slugging third baseman. He averaged about 30 home runs and 90 to 100 RBIs a season in his best years. But now, in this era of analytics and sabermetrics and everything else, Boone, now that he's going to be going through this managing phase for the first time, he's going to need some help. This is where he needs a really good bench coach to try and help things out with him. At the same time, he's watched a lot of baseball. He knows exactly what makes a player tick, what a player's strengths and weaknesses are. Having done ESPN Sunday Night Baseball for so many years, number one, he was a terrific analyst. And number two, he saw everything that there was to try and micromanage in a game. And that's probably where he got a lot of his experience checking the game out from. So now he's going to be having a much closer seat from the dugout.
That's if management allows him to manage. That's the whole point.
See,
Management allows to pick.
I
in most
hate
places,
when owners do that.
Management in most places like to stick their nose into things that they don't know about. That's the whole point.
That I hate when owners do that. You've got to let these guys
Manage-
play
play
the game
you
and
do.
coach or manage the game.
Because
We can't have another Mr. Steinbrenner, or we can't have another
They'll
Jerry
never-
Jones,
they'll
or
never
another Mark Cuban on our hands. Please.
There'll never be another George Steinbrenner.
Oh,
because I'll
forget
tell you,
about it.
If George Steinbrenner were alive today, I think he wouldn't have fired.
Oh,
George
all
Girardi.
hell would have broken
He
loose.
wouldn't have fired Girardi, though. He would not have fired Girardi.
No.
I don't think he would have fired Girardi because he got him there. He got him there. Now,
Yeah.
it's been a while, but he would have gotten a lot of but the thing is, he used to deplete the young guys and so forth.
I thought the idea of managing or firing a manager or a head coach was because the manager was not getting the most out of his players, or the coach was not getting the most out of his players. Joe Girardi managed for 10 years. They averaged about 85 to 90 wins a season. They were in contention every single year, and yet he still gets his walking papers. Whereas Ben McAdoo, who you see there on the green screen, he wound up getting his walking papers. Why? Because for one, the players cried mutiny against him.
Yeah, they were going to.
And two, because he probably committed the biggest slap in the face, and that was to bench Eli Manning in favor of Geno Smith.
But why did he do that? What was his reason?
His reasoning was he actually thought that Geno Smith was better for the Giants taking the snaps from center and winning games for them.
Now, you know
when he really was not.
You know something? I know a manager or a coach has to try to do something, to shake up things, and I may understand the benching of Eli Manning, but to wear his shirt like he died, the man is not dead. He was just benched for one game to see how the other football players would react with Geno Smith. Okay, he tried.
And what happened? Geno Smith committed 2 turnovers, including one in the red zone.
He failed.
It was same old Geno Smith.
Right, exactly. But my point is, a manager has to try something new. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, but there's a difference between trying something new and doing what he did.
Now, what
you don't bench someone who is the equivalent of a franchise player.
Now, what would have happened if he would have won the game?
If he would have won the game,
Yeah.
first off, McAdoo would have still been fired anyway. And
I don't
secondly,
think so.
They
he
made
won
it
the
loud
game,
and clear.
if he won the game.
Win or lose, he was going to be out.
Okay. Now, but if he won the game, and so you're saying that means he did the right thing, the right move by bringing in Geno Smith to win the game.
You still don't make that move. Win or lose, you just don't do it.
That's the point of manager.
Replacing a guy who's thrown for 50,000 yards and over 200 touchdowns and has won 2 Super Bowls and is now being considered for the Hall of Fame, borderline, if you ask me, in favor of a guy who's played between 35 and 40 games and has committed more turnovers than touchdowns in 5 NFL seasons.
And you're
You
absolutely right.
don't do that whatsoever.
And you know what? Let's go down the list for a second because I want you to give me the details on certain things.
Well,
I want you to be specific because the Jets and so forth are coming up. But
they both played yesterday.
New England at 10-2.
It's best that we go through the games first.
Because
it's best that we go through the games first because this will give us a little bit more of an idea of exactly what's going on. Let's start right over here in our neck of the woods because both teams played yesterday. We've got the Jets, who, by the way, won yesterday with Josh McCown at quarterback, which is really saying a lot. Speaking of the Jets, they were supposed to be the team that was going to be playing for the first overall pick of next year's draft. And where are they right now? They're 5-7, and they are talking playoffs. Don't think
should they talk playoffs?
Oh, they're going to talk playoffs regardless of what anybody's opinion is, as is their prerogative. At the same time, we need to call a spade a spade. They're playing hard, which is what we appreciate. We appreciate a team that gives all an out effort. And this season, the Jets have not only proven the critics wrong, they've proven the fans wrong by giving 100% effort every single game. That's why they've equaled the same amount of wins this season that they had all of last season. That's number one. Number two, can they make the playoffs? Yes. Will they make the playoffs? I just don't know. They've got New England coming up. They've also got New Orleans, Denver, and San Diego. I would say maybe 2 or 3 out of the games would be winnable. Denver is definitely a winnable game. They've got the Broncos next week. At the same time, they've got San Diego, which is contending all of a sudden for the AFC West, New England, which is in a class by themselves, New Orleans, which has been terrific. Quite frankly, I think the Jets will be lucky if they win 7 games this year.
Let me ask you something. New England at 10-2.
What is there to say about the Patriots that has not already been said? They won yesterday against Buffalo, did not play their best, and also Rob Gronkowski wound up getting himself suspended yesterday for getting into a little scuffle with a couple of the Bills players. So he's going to be out next weekend.
He's going to be a WWE wrestler. Watch.
Actually, he's
He
already
will be.
fulfilled that fantasy at
Yeah,
WrestleMania
and
about
I'm
a year
sure,
or two ago.
I'm sure he's going to.
But
I'm
yes,
sure
he
he's
would
gonna-
be a
he's going-
perfect WWE wrestler.
Yeah, and I'm telling you because
You know who else would make a good WWE wrestler? But he's a free agent right now. D'Angelo Williams,
D'Angelo Williams. Yes,
who last played for the Steelers. He actually competed for Global Force Wrestling a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. He had a good match, and he didn't wrestle much, but he did what he had to do.
They love his athletic ability, though. They think
You
he has
know?
good athletic ability to compete in the ring. The only difference is he's kind of up there in age. He's 34 now.
Doesn't matter if you're in good shape and you can do something, and if people want to see you. I mean, Diamond Dallas Page. He was in his 40s before they got him.
And Ric
They
Flair
got-
competed into his 60s.
Yeah, so if he wanted to get him, I mean, that's it. Also, Buffalo at 6-6. What do you say to that? Especially with the Jets being right behind them.
Buffalo, you ever heard that old saying, you are what your record says you are?
That's
Well,
what they
Buffalo
are?
is 6-6, which means they are a 500 team. They're a 500 team because their quarterback play sucks.
Oh, jeez.
They got
Say
outclassed
that?
by the Patriots
Excuse me.
on
I'm
both
sorry.
sides of the ball.
Right.
And quite frankly, they can only do so much with LaShawn McCoy.
Really?
Yes, they
Oh,
really.
yeah. Oh, jeez. And again, the Jets are 5-7, and
so is
Miami
Miami.
at 5-7. What do you do with that?
Well, the Jets are playing. If you can say that a team that's 5-7 is playing in over their heads, that's really saying a lot, especially since it's the Jets. The Dolphins have been a complete disappointment this season, especially with Jay Cutler at the quarterback. I mean, they got themselves a big win yesterday, beating Denver, blowing out Denver by over 30 points. But quite frankly, the Dolphins have major problems. They can't run the ball. They're having major problems defensively, and their quarterback play has been a real issue.
So what makes the Jets, do you think, a contender or try to be a contender to make the playoffs?
What makes them a good contender? Inspired play at quarterback, and even though the numbers don't show it, they're actually putting up a fight defensively. Leonard Williams, who's their second-year guy, terrific athlete with great speed, great pursuit of the quarterback. He's going to be their defensive star for the next 10 years.
Okay, and then you got Tennessee with 8-4, Jacksonville at 8-4.
Tennessee and Jacksonville. Who saw the Jacksonville Jaguars competing this deep into the season, first of all? The reason why Jacksonville is competing this deep into the year is
Why?
because, for one, Leonard Fournette has had a great rookie season. Two, defensively, they've been outstanding. And three, they've got a really solid duo of receivers that are making Blake Bortles look good. And Tennessee is playing well over their heads right now, but that's because they've got a great young quarterback and a really powerful running game that's giving them a chance.
Now, did you expect Houston at 4-8 and Indianapolis 3-9?
Indianapolis, I saw them being 3-9 because Andrew Luck has not played at all this season, and they're really missing him at quarterback.
So a quarterback does really.
A franchise quarterback means everything to a franchise like the
Shouldn't
Colts.
you have a good secondary quarterback just in case?
Always.
But what is it about it that you can't ever get a secondary quarterback like Dallas had happened?
Backup quarterbacks are really hard to find. Not only that, but you got to know where to go in order to get that backup.
And Houston's
rookie quarterback tore up his knee so he's gone for the rest of the season. They're in serious trouble.
And look at that. In the North, you got Pittsburgh at 9-2 and Baltimore 7-5.
Pittsburgh's the best team, the second best team in the AFC right now, and I think you could probably put them right up there as one of the 10 best teams in the league. Great quarterback play, outstanding running game, and a stud receiver, Antonio Bryant, who Ben Roethlisberger can go to every time.
Bal-
Antonio Brown, I should say.
Yeah, but in Baltimore at 7-5, they're not doing.
They're hanging
in there.
around.
They're hanging in
They're
there.
hanging around because Joe Flacco has been playing not great, but has been playing well enough to keep them afloat.
Cincinnati 5-6 and Cleveland 0-12. 0-12.
You know,
And you thought the Giants were bad.
I thought the Giants are
And
bad.
they were supposed to
Cleveland
get good.
is abysmal. What is there to say about Cleveland that has not already been said? Cincinnati, they're playing Pittsburgh tonight.
Right.
The Steelers and the Bengals play each other tonight. Cincinnati needs a win in the worst way. If they don't win, count their playoff chances out.
And Cleveland, you know they're going to get a top 10 pick.
They might get the top
So-
pick in the entire
But
draft.
they've been down this whole way before, this path before, and every time. What is it that
many
they can't
times.
pick somebody really good, or
The
is it,
problem is the management that is running that franchise. They
Talking about
don't
management.
know.
Yeah.
They don't know football whatsoever.
Yeah.
And this leads me to a little bit of an issue that I have.
What is the issue?
The issue that I have is with the fans.
And what's wrong with the fans? That they're backing them,
No.
or that they should go and
The
try and-
problem is the fans are actually rooting against their team to lose just so they can get a high draft pick. I don't know about
Well-
you, but I don't appreciate the Giants or the Jets losing as badly as they have, specifically the Giants. Do you honestly think that the Giants are going out there to try and lose games? They played their butts off yesterday. Obviously, they were going to look for a win. And the same thing could be said for the Jets. Everybody wanted the Jets to basically win one game this year so they could get the first overall pick.
so they can get another quarterback. Is more
First
like
of
it.
all, the Jets have proven a lot of people wrong by playing the way they have this year.
Right.
And second, do you honestly think that the fans of the Cleveland Browns are hoping for their team to go winless this season? They were 1-15 last year. You know they're
and who was their pick? Who did they? Who did
Myles
who-
Garrett,
And how is he doing?
he's been in and out of the lineup because he's been hurt. And they also had Jabril Peppers, 2 number 1 draft picks, which consisted of really good young players. But the problem is both have been in and out of the lineup
Now-
because they've been hurt.
Does Cleveland have a decent offense and defense, or they just broken down to the point where they just got to
Defensively, they've had their moments, especially with Garrett in there. When
Can you
Myles
hear me
Garrett
now?
is in there, the Browns' defense is actually solid. But without him, they're like a complete train wreck. Offensively, they have a pretty good young player, Duke Johnson, who's a former Miami Hurricane.
Right.
But their quarterback play is laughable.
So you're saying that they should get another quarterback, even though they've tried about 2 or 3 times already to get a quarterback.
Try 27 quarterbacks in the last 18 years. Ever since they returned to the NFL in 1999, the running joke has been about putting up tombstones with the names of every single quarterback that has suited up for the Browns. Everybody from Tim Couch to Jason Campbell to Jeff Garcia to the guy that the Jets have right now, Josh McCown, who played for them for a couple of years, and now the current guy, which is Deshaun Kaiser, who's a rookie.
You know
and,
what?
and he's been lost.
The rookie, if you're gonna have a rookie quarterback, he's gonna lose. You have to face bumps and bruises.
Look at
in
what
there.
Peyton Manning went through. He lost 13 games his rookie year, and he led the league in interceptions. But what happened to him? He won 2 Super Bowls and is now this close to being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
But they also helped him out with getting offensive players, defensive people, and so
They helped
forth.
him out by getting guys like Edgerrin
And-
James and Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne.
Here's a good one for you. In the West, Kansas City 6-6, LA Chargers 6-6, and the Oakland Raiders at 6-6. That's a pileup in itself.
A pile of garbage, if you ask me.
How could you say
that
it's a pile of
the
garbage?
Western Division stinks? Kansas City has slumped badly. The Chargers have been up and down. They lost their first 4 games of the year. Now they've won 6 of their last 8. The Raiders have been very up and down because, for one, Derek Carr has been hurt, and for another, they really can't seem to get their defense in order. They were really hurting defensively before yesterday. Denver is a train wreck, absolute train wreck that needs a Denver needs a quarterback in the worst way. Sorry, but they're not going to win games with Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch or Brock Osweiler as their quarterback. That's their quarterback trio right now, and none of them are getting the job done.
Again, hopefully you'll try to find lightning. In the East, NFC East, you have the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-1. And
they're actually 10-2 now. They lost last night.
Oh, well, look at that. 10-2, and Dallas 6-6 right now.
Yeah, Dallas is a 500 team, but this is where they need Ezekiel Elliott. And the schedule for the next 2 weeks is going to be pretty easy because they have the Giants coming up, and then after that, I think they're supposed to be playing Tampa. But then they finish the season with games against New Orleans and Philadelphia.
Right.
The Philadelphia game is going to be really tough. And Philadelphia had a tough time of their own with Seattle yesterday. Seattle put a real hurting on them with some spectacular defense.
The Giants are going to get geared up for the Dallas game, that's for sure.
If they have any motivation whatsoever to try and end this last quarter of the season, it starts with Dallas on Sunday.
And you got Washington at 5-7, and again the Giants at 2-10.
Washington's a major disappointment.
Which they've also fired the offensive coordinator too, the Giants as well.
Mm-hmm. So now Steve
Am I doing good right now?
Steve Spagnuolo is going to be the interim head coach the last quarter of the season, and they even told him he might be a candidate for the full-time job once the season ends.
You know what? Would he be good?
He had 2 years in St. Louis, and quite frankly, it was unfair to judge him on his St. Louis years because he coached a terrible Rams team then. This time he's got a Giants squad that has the players but does not execute whatsoever.
Okay, so you got in the South the New Orleans Saints that's 9-3 and Carolina at 8-4.
Saints just beat the Panthers in a really, really big matchup yesterday, and they have been doing it with a lot of scoring. Drew Brees has had an outstanding season. They also have the luxury of a really good running game and a really solid core of receivers. Defense is overlooked, though. Everybody talks about Drew Brees and how many points he scores, but the defense has been very, very solid this year.
And also, you have Atlanta at 7-5 and Tampa Bay at 4-8.
Tampa's been a major disappointment this season, and just yesterday, Jameis Winston came back from injury, wasn't able to do much. Atlanta still has a shot, though. They're only a couple of games over 500, but they really, really have to get their health back in order because, unfortunately, they're missing some guys, including Devontae Freeman, who I think has a concussion.
How is the playoffs start? Is it the first three in each division? Is that how it is?
It goes by division champions and then the teams with the 2 wild card teams with the 2 best records. They go by division champion and the next 2 best records in each conference.
So you mean Minnesota at 10-2, Detroit at 6-6, and Green Bay at 6-6. So it would be.
It's looking more and more like Minnesota is going to take the North Division. The Vikings have been outstanding this year.
And Detroit 6-6,
500 team.
Green Bay at 6-6, 500 team as well.
Yeah, although they might get Aaron Rodgers back for the last couple of games because he's been doing some workouts trying to recover from a broken collarbone, and they're hoping that maybe he could sneak in for the last couple of games of the year.
In Chicago at 3-9.
Major disappointment, continuing to have problems at quarterback. Decent running game, but the defense has been a major letdown.
And also the LA Rams at 9-3, Seattle at 7-4.
This is going to be a really, really tough Western Division race between those 2 teams. It's those two and nobody else right now. And the Seahawks are now 8-4 after beating the Eagles last night. So one game separates the Rams and Seahawks from the Western Division lead. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have one more game against each other, and that's going to be the game that's going to decide the West.
Arizona 5-7 and San Francisco 2-10. So you have
San Francisco just won yesterday against Chicago.
Okay. So
And Arizona, another disappointing season for them. I mean, Carson Palmer has been in and out of the lineup because he's been hurt. The game that they had yesterday with the Rams was a complete and unmitigated disaster.
So I got a question for you. So the playoffs would be right now. If the playoffs were to start right now, it would be New England. It would be New England and Buffalo.
Actually, it would
be New England.
New England out of the East, Pittsburgh out of the North.
Right.
You would have
Kansas City.
As of right now, it would be Kansas City coming out of the West, and you would have Tennessee coming out of the South.
And the East, Philadelphia, and New Orleans in the South, Minnesota in the North, and the LA Rams. Let's go by that route, by the West.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be those four. It's the four top teams.
Mm-hmm. The four division champions.
Four division champions, and then after that, it would be the
teams with the two best records.
So it would be, let's say, the Buffalo.
Buffalo would be out.
Buffalo would be out. Who would be in?
It would be New England, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Baltimore. Those would be your teams coming out of the AFC.
And that's how the playoffs. Okay, no, because some people don't know. Believe it or not, I'm going by if people don't know, because there's a lot of people that really don't know how the playoffs are adjusted. Because you already know that in basketball, it's the first 8 teams that make the playoffs, and it's easier to make the playoffs in basketball than it is in football. But in college football, the women's division, UConn.
College football or college basketball?
Basketball. That's what I meant. Did I say college football?
You just said college football.
I apologize.
You're on the right track, though, because we do have to talk college football, but only briefly, though.
Yeah, but the UConn girls, they're doing great. They're
nice to see that certain things never change. UConn, the number 1 ranked team in the country, this year they're already off to a 7-0 start. But this, just over the weekend, they had a really tough time with Notre Dame. UConn and Notre Dame have been rivals for a long, long time, going back to the Big East Conference days. And they played in the women's portion of the Jimmy V Classic over the weekend, and UConn won by 9.
And Curtis, speaking of football,
yes,
Curtis
tomorrow
doing
night,
it again.
man.
Playing at Yankee Stadium, ladies and gentlemen.
Against Erasmus Hall High School from Brooklyn, and it's going to be for the PSAL Varsity Football Championship.
And what I just read also, that there is let's see, Purdue checks in with Anderson of Curtis as title gears nears.
This is also in the football
circuit.
Isn't
that something?
Mm-hmm.
So Purdue wants an actual. Curtis must be a hell of a football team right now.
Curtis is the defending champion, and they are also going up against an undefeated team right now in Erasmus Hall. And one of their best players, Ahmad Anderson, he's been getting chased around by a whole bunch of different colleges. He's been looked at by Vanderbilt. He's been looked at by Purdue. And it's gotten to the point where, slowly but surely, he's close to making his choice to make that to see where he's going to go to school.
Where do you think just by talent alone, where do you think he would fit?
Honestly, I think he could fit in anywhere he wanted.
Really?
He really could, because he's that good.
They all play his division, his way of, okay, hey, that's great stuff.
As a matter of fact, I'm seeing by this article here in the Advance,
shout out to the Advance.
Ahmad Anderson has already made his choice.
What was his?
And it looks like he's going to Purdue, which means he's going to compete in the pressure cooker that is the Big Ten Conference next year.
Yeah,
which would be great.
And look at that. Wait a minute. College swimming. Oh, look at that. You do the
Oh,
college
speaking
swimming.
of island schools,
Let's talk about Staten Island for a little bit because Staten Island. We are a borough, right? We should talk about
Yep.
Staten Island, even though there's a lot of people that do not like when we talk about Staten Island.
well, check this out. We should be saying congratulations to the people at Wagner College because
Congratulations.
the women's swimming and diving team won their second consecutive ECAC Winter Championship.
Congratulations. Wow.
They wound up getting 1,277.5 points in a 3-day meet that included LIU, both LIU Post and LIU Brooklyn, and Sacred Heart.
That's a good thing. That really is a good thing, And wait a minute, there is something here. Farrell, SIA falls to Poly.
Yeah, that's probably in other sports
that's
right
probably
now.
In other
Yep.
sports right
Basketball.
now. Go ahead. Let's talk about the great basketball.
Unfortunately, Monsignor Farrell went through a tough time over the weekend because they had to play Cardinal Hayes from the Bronx. By the way, did you know
No.
Cardinal Hayes is the school that produced Regis Philbin?
No, I did not know that. But thank
Regis
you for telling
Philbin
me.
graduated from Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx and the University of Notre Dame.
Oh, hot diggity dog.
So one of the Bronx's own is a Cardinal Hayes kid. Anyway, Cardinal Hayes won 71-49 over Farrell in a game that took place in the Bronx yesterday. And also, I see the Mavericks wound up winning 63-39. That's the More Catholic Mavericks.
Oh, wow.
More Catholic won 63-39 over St. John's Prep. That's in the Catholic League's B division.
Yes.
And also, Iona Prep won 67. Correction. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Iona
right.
Iona Prep wound up winning 67-56 over St. Peter's. That was also in basketball.
And you know something? And we had a great time talking to those guys last week.
Yes,
the
we did.
soccer team. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yep.
Before
we continue, let's give a special word of thanks once again to the people at Peters for being so kind, for taking time out of what had to be a really grueling academic schedule for them to make their way over to the station to speak with us. It was really kind of them, and
also,
we're very, very grateful for that.
And also, the parents had no complaints.
Mm-hmm.
The parents
had a
no
wonderful
complaint.
time here.
They had a great time with myself and Jamie's banter. Nobody complained. So that's great for me, as long as the parents didn't complain, because remember, parents, if you do something to their kids, they will complain on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? The parents were happy with our help and so forth. I hope we get them back again, and I hope we
That'd
get
be
some.
wonderful.
I hope we get some of these guys, like the guys from Curtis or from Wagner or
Tell you
somebody.
what, let's keep our fingers crossed that Curtis wins a championship
Yeah,
tomorrow.
and we'd love to have them back on. And then, hey,
By the way,
what are the chances
not
of
only
that?
not only is the varsity playing for the title tomorrow, the junior varsity just recently won the city championship. So maybe we could be celebrating two football champions over at the Curtis campus coming up.
It says here city titles,
Yep.
1998.
This is every single championship that Curtis has won in the last 20 years. They've beaten Lehman,
1998,
Wagner.
1999,
Then there was Fort Hamilton from Brooklyn,
2002,
Canarsie from Brooklyn,
2007,
Tottenville,
2009,
and then there was Erasmus.
2016.
And this year's going to be the rematch with Erasmus.
And it's going to be a hell of a game, ladies and gentlemen, a hell of a game. And in college football, please, what's going on?
College football, bottom line is we are all set with our bowl games.
Oh,
First
high school
off,
basketball. We did high school basketball.
Yes, we did.
Because the high school
Actually,
basketball.
we failed to mention a couple of scores coming out of basketball.
we got to do that. We got to
Let's
do the
see.
girls.
Polyprop from Brooklyn, who, by the way, produced Joakim Noah of the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
Poly Prep wound up winning 62-57 over the Staten Island Academy.
That's a damn shame.
And MSIT won 86-54 over CSI McCown in a battle of Staten Island schools.
Oh, wow.
And then Port Richmond, going back to the public schools, wound up winning 66-59 over Petrides.
They don't get enough. They don't get enough press coverage. These guys.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are playing their rear ends off, and they don't get enough coverage. And us
You
we're
know,
doing it.
they actually do back-to-back games in the high school level. Not only did Port Richmond beat Petrides on Friday, they wound up winning over New Utrecht from Brooklyn on Saturday.
But they figured, well, look how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they said, oh yeah, they.
And my guess is they probably play about 2 games a week in the high school level.
And you know, I don't know. They've been saying that kids today get a lot of homework, and some people say that they don't get enough homework. I say that some of these high schools and junior high schools do not prepare these guys for college, and I feel bad for the ones that are in poor neighborhoods that don't get that education. That even though there are sometimes the harder you work, the better you are. But there are times where you need some help, and that school's supposed to help you, and they can't help you because the books are behind.
You know, there's an
so on.
argument being made that maybe they should just eliminate homework altogether.
Or no, they were saying that they should eliminate tests as well. In some countries, they eliminate tests for some reason because there are a lot of people that are great test takers. That doesn't mean that you're smart. You're just a great test taker. And that's the whole point. You know, if you're a great test taker and you're horrible at everything else, then what the hell good? Oh, okay, I can pass the test. Big deal, you know? So there in some countries, they don't even have tests. They don't even tests don't exist, which is I don't know how.
You know, sometimes I wonder how a lot of
things
these countries.
Make me wonder.
Yeah. Or like on the Arsenio Hall show, things that make you go, I always wonder how certain countries have such higher academic standards, so high that they're actually up at the top of the totem pole in education.
With so little.
With so little. Yet us, the United States of America.
We're 23rd, I think, in math. And got in 26 in English somewhere.
The United States of America, one of the superpowers of the country, is at the bottom of the totem pole in education.
I can tell you something.
Poor math scores, poor reading scores, and that's not just at a certain grade level. It's every single level.
Yeah, and here's the problem that we're having. Besides the poor neighborhoods not getting the amount of, I think, education that they should get. And that is the fact that they're cutting music and sports, okay? And also, the fact is that some of these places pay higher taxes, but the higher the taxes they pay, the more it goes into education. That's why you have free colleges out there. That's why you have great pavements out there. That's why you have free health care out there, because the taxes are high, but yet you can't do it here because we have so many people here and our system is a little bit off balance. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. The point is, y'all got to get along and try to fix something. Not for the future, but you got to start now. For us that are living now, and then also start for the future. You can't say, well, we got to do it for the future. But that's how some countries do it.
Do you think that also maybe a lack of qualified teachers in the classroom might also have something to do with it as well?
Overcrowding in schools.
That's another problem.
That's what you're having. You got schools that are being taught in bathrooms. Okay?
Curtis itself, from what I understand, has 5,000 students.
And there's not enough schools to go around, and there's not enough teachers. Some teachers say they're not getting paid enough. All right, and especially in public school.
Which is interesting considering we're in the biggest city in the world where all the money is.
And then you got kids that don't know how to act. I mean, you have metal detectors in there. You have metal detectors in schools. Okay? you have gangs in there that instead of them wanting to learn, then you have teachers that you expect them to teach, and why do you expect them to teach? And that's the whole point. You know, that's the whole point. What is this, man?
Shouldn't we consider ourselves lucky for getting the educations that we did?
You know, in some aspect, I think we did get a good education for that time period, but some of the jobs that are out there now that we used to have back then are not out there now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem that we're facing. A high school diploma right now, you have to get a 2-year degree in order to make it like a high school diploma. And that's what's happening to our system. What am I doing wrong? If you just tell me what I'm doing wrong, please. I cannot speak. I cannot listen to mouthing. Please tell me.
I think that's her way of telling you to change the subject.
But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, that's how come when you cut things in football.
Yeah.
How do you, like in Samoa, you have great football players out there.
That's right.
Whether they're playing
and
on
a lot
dirt.
of the Samoan players have made it to the NFL.
But they're playing on dirt fields.
Playing on dirt fields.
They're not getting the equipment that they need.
Yep.
And that's funny.
NFL
Even
Films
in
did this
Dominican
terrific
Republic,
story
playing baseball
about
with
the type of football that's being played in Samoa and also Fiji and some of the other Pacific islands.
And we're talking about sports, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and we're also throwing in sports here too. So don't
That's
get
the
it
big
twisted,
sports
you
angle.
know. That's a sports angle. So don't let people think, oh, we're being too political.
But you know what? This brings up a really valid point because there's a college quarterback prospect that's out there right now, Josh Rosen, who plays at UCLA. Some say that he could be the next great quarterback prospect right now. Josh Rosen is a junior. He also made a very controversial comment when he was interviewed several months ago.
Uh-oh, what was it this
He
time?
said sports and education don't go together.
Uh-oh.
His argument is that either we should concentrate on one thing or another. We either concentrate on athletics or we just concentrate on academics. You can't put the two together because it really makes for an impossible amount of time to put on somebody's schedule to try and make room for both.
Now, that's actually a decent argument.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have sports and you don't have music, and if you don't have those things in there, you really.
If we don't have our sports or our music or any form of artistry at all in our schools, our kids are going to be lost trying to find something constructive to do. Not as a way of living, but as a way of expression.
Yeah, and also remember college, that's what college is for. That's why we have to, some of these schools have to get them to college level, and it's hard.
In a way, Josh is right. Sports and education really do not go well together at all.
In some aspects, he's right, but in some aspects, he's wrong because sometimes it motivates you. School, because I actually saw this program about an Asian guy from Notre Dame, 5'4", 5'8".
I know who you're talking
about. You know who I'm talking about? Ho.
Reggie Ho.
Reggie Ho. Wasn't supposed to make the football team. But he went out there, he tried. And what did he do? Became a heart doctor and led Notre Dame to
a winning season. I think I know what you're talking about. Was this an ESPN 30 for 30 short?
Yeah, it was a great thing. So
the student athlete, ironically enough, is the name of that story. Reggie Ho not only kicked for Notre Dame, he became a doctor.
He's a heart doctor.
And he has his own practice in Philadelphia.
And look at that. And so you do what you, and sometimes you have to put in the work yourself, and then there's teachers out there that have to motivate you. So it works both ways. So
it depends on the individual,
so with that comment that gentleman said, I say I don't think he's right in my opinion, but everybody's entitled to one, and that's all.
In a few ways, though, he is kind of right
To
because
some
you see
degree.
all of the hypocrisy that's going on in the NCAA right now when it comes to education and sports and the amount of money that's being put in. He's got a point there.
Yeah, and
But-
also, especially when the college ball players,
Mm-hmm.
they're supposed to be getting their education, let's say, and then they come out
Says
with
he with tongue in cheek.
with no degree, that they're getting a no degree, and then they're going. But all they're doing is playing football because they're prepping them up for the NFL. Some of them, so play NFL style football. Forget everything
This is
else.
why
And
baseball
those are-
works so well because if a kid comes out of high school and he gets drafted, he has the opportunity to either go to college or sign his first pro contract.
New York Knicks, do they need a bench?
Yeah.
Okay, now who do they need as a bench? Now, do they need everybody or do they need 1 or 2 people?
Well,
and a bench.
more of a collective effort would be great, but I do think that they need a sharpshooter coming off the bench to try and give them some more scoring.
So McDermott is not the guy.
He's not the only guy right now.
He's not the only guy because they lost yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
107-100.
Yeah.
And again, that's tough, They came
And
down
it's not
to
getting
17,
it's not getting any easier either tonight. The Knicks have the paces.
and also the Rangers are doing well.
Rangers are playing very well so far.
Islanders are doing well.
Islanders are playing well. The Devils are playing well so far.
And every college is doing well. So
Mhm.
with
Speaking
2
of the
minutes,
colleges,
we got 2 minutes left.
we failed to mention what's going on in college
So
football.
let's do it.
All of the bowl games. There are going to be 40 bowl games
Look at
this
that.
year.
Are they worth
2
all of them?
No, not even close. They're playing these games in front of 3/4 empty stadiums, and
Just like WWE.
yeah, just like WWE. They're
And
playing in
then
front of 3/4 empty stadiums. Only the alumni are involved, and unless you're a really passionate fan, no one's going to be watching these games on television or at the
What
stadiums.
are the main ones? The main
Rose Bowl, which, by the way, is going to be one of the college football playoff semifinals. The
Right.
Rose Bowl is going to have Alabama and Oklahoma, and then there's the Sugar Bowl. Correction, it's Oklahoma and Georgia. That's going to be in
Hurry up, we got 1 minute left.
in
Hurry
the
up.
Rose Bowl. The Orange Bowl is going to have Alabama and Clemson, which is a rematch of last year's national championship game. And then you've got the other 38 bowl games that are going to be taking place. But the bottom line, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Clemson are all in the national championship semifinals.
And those are the balls balls that you should.
Exactly right. Those
Bowls.
are the
The
bowl
bowls.
games that you should be checking out right now. And also, Ohio State's going to be playing USC in the Cotton Bowl in what should be an outstanding matchup.
And did you hear Lorenzo Ball saying that his son is still better than Stephon Curry?
Oh, speaking of which,
He'd be good for wrestling.
LeVar
too.
Ball pulled
LeVar
out
Ball.
LeAngelo Ball out of UCLA. And guess who's coming back to football coaching?
Who's coaching?
Herman Edwards.
Herman Edwards. Oh wow!
He's going to be the new head coach at Arizona State.
Damn, he should have
University.
been the Jets coach. He would have been a great.
Been there, done that.
I would take.
But
him again.
congratulations to Herm Edwards for
Way
getting
to
back
go.
in the game.
So, ladies and gentlemen, should we leave off now by saying our goodbyes?
Might as well.
Might as well stretch it out and say lonely but surely. Jamie, let me say my goodbyes because this is your show by saying this is the hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. If you got a problem with me, I'm right here. Call me. Ladies and gentlemen, Channel 34, 11 Sunday p.m. HomeInvadersRideShow.com if you want to be on my show. Thank you very much. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you love someone, tell them before they go. Jamie, take it away.
Thanks to Rosanna Robertson,
Yes.
or as I affectionately like to call her, the human emoticon,
Yeah, the
for
human
being on the
emotion.
other side of the glass.
The
Thanks
glass.
to Kenny and Eileen as well for all of their help. And thanks to you guys at home for watching.
And also thanks CTV for letting us somehow express ourselves because that's what this CTV is supposed to be doing, letting express ourselves. So thank you very
clear. To all my people getting down right here, we gon' party like this.